The other thing we'll be able to say is, hello there, everyone, and welcome to Tapcaf Transmissions. I am one of your hosts, Corey, but this just in is my other co-host, Mr. EckhartsLadder. How are you doing today, Justin?
My sides have went to orbit with that joke.
There you go.
Laughing so hard. So going to need to get them back, but otherwise pretty good.
That's great to hear. Any exciting developments in your life in the 2 whole weeks since we've last convened for such a podcast?
No, everyone's been sick. Like, not just me, like everyone I know. And I don't know if it's the same in Ontario, but in Nova Scotia, it's like everyone is sick. Just everyone's sick. And
It seems like
sick.
You've been perpetually sick literally since me and Charlie left.
Yes. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I've been sick since, I'd say, like, when did you guys leave? Like the 13th or 14th? Yeah, I have been sick since pretty much then. It's been like, right now it's not that bad. I'm just like super tired all the time and like coughing a lot, and it sucks. It's been certainly worse at points, but it's just been nonstop, so it's exhausting. So yeah, that sucks. But I drop August off at school in the morning, and usually, there's like 15 kids, 20 kids in his class, and like the other day there were 4. So like you can't buy medicine really. It's all out.
Yeah, that's I think pretty universal right now.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if it's the flu. Like, I regret not getting the flu shot because it might be like a flu, but I was also sick, so I didn't want to get it while I was already kind of battling an illness. But like, once I have a few days where I'm feeling okay, I'm gonna go grab that. But yeah, it's been awful, and I think I got like a sinus infection now, which is something a lot of people have. So it's I'm in one right now.
Yeah. You're really falling apart, much like Luke's mechanical hand did in the subject of today's episode.
Yeah, it's because I've been wearing the sock of Darth Vader. It's like, it still like makes me fall apart, but just much more slowly.
Well, that subject is in fact not Tales of the Jedi, Jedi Prince 2, Book 2, Lost City of the Jedi.
I didn't remember a single fucking thing from Book 1. Not a single thing. Even after reading the Wikipedia summary, didn't remember it.
Not the shock hand situation or anything from that?
Nothing. I'm guessing Ken wasn't in it at all, was he?
No, not that I remember.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I just completely forgot about it. But yeah, this book was interesting. Do you want to kind of set the stage? Do you want to summarize what happened in the last book a little bit? Kind of bring people up to speed?
Well, last book was all about getting the glove of Darth Vader, which Trioculus did. This fresh-faced, new, three-eyed guy who's claiming to be the son of the Emperor, even though we know he's not, in fact, the son of the Emperor. He just happens to also have 3 eyes, like the actual son of the Emperor.
Different setup, though.
If you have 3 eyes in Star Wars, you have to have... your name has to have, like, Tri in it. So...
Yeah,
that's kind of
we learned that he's got the eye in the wrong spot. Kind of a major mix-up, because Triclops has it on the back of his head. His third eye's on the back of his head.
Yeah.
Do
you think they all listen to Third Eye Blind? Like, is that the...
No, because they don't want to be Third Eye Blind.
Well, what other Third Eye bands are there? Like, when they're doing their inauguration or their coronation?
Yeah, I guess. There's got to be a better one, though, than that.
I don't think there... Like, I can't even think of a... How's it going to be? Is that Third Eye Blind?
All I know is Semi-Charmed Life. I believe it's Third Eye Blind.
Okay. Well, we'll get some people checking on that.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff.
That's the Tapcaf theme song now.
Yeah. Not the actual song, just my rendition of it as... Yeah.
Your sick rendition of it.
Yeah.
But you need the glove of Darth Vader if you're going to be the leader of the Emperor or of the Empire. Everyone knows that. That's why when Darth Vader had the glove, he was the leader of the Empire.
Yes.
But the Prophet Kadan has made this pronouncement, this prophecy, that the next leader of the Empire will have Vader's glove. And wouldn't you know, the part of the Death Star 2 with Vader's glove on it, I think was blown to Mon Calamari through hyperspace. So they picked that up. Trioculus shocked some people with a weird mechanical thing, faking his Force lightning powers. But yeah, so many hijinks ensued, and now we're here where they need support from Grand Admiral Grunger, who is only going to follow whichever person gets the blessing of Supreme Prophet Kadan. So Hissa and Trioculus, they go to Scardia Station, where Kadan is,
to find the race of dwarfs. They call them.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
I actually think dwarf is an okay. Because I looked it up because I didn't want to say it if it wasn't, and I think it's I think it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not I think there's like a more ideal word, but there's also much more offensive words that I'm not going to say. But I don't know if like he's literally just short or if because they say human dwarf but all of them are dwarves. So like I don't know.
Well, one of them's like 7 feet tall, so not all of them. Jedgar's like 7 feet tall.
Oh, is he? I must have missed that. Okay. All right. Well, there goes that theory then.
Yeah. So
but I never knew that about Caden. So.
Yeah, he's 130 centimeters tall apparently, according to Wikipedia. So
130 centimeters. What's that in feet?
I don't know.
4 foot, 4 foot and a bit. So yeah, that's pretty short.
Yeah. So Hissa is trying to tell Trioculus during their meeting with Kadan, like, just tell him the truth. He's gonna know, and eventually he'll just agree with us anyways. Because Kadan kind of sees through all their bullshit and crushes some orbs. He's got some orbs that he crushes.
Orbs know all. The orbs know all.
Yeah, and apparently from one silver orb, he gets the whole plot of the rest of the series, where Ken, the Jedi Prince, is going to stop him.
Yeah, so let's talk about Ken. Ken's got an interesting situation. We know he's referred to. So Ken's living in this lost city, the Jedi, which of course it exists under the surface of Yavin 4.
Yep.
And he's obviously the Jedi are gone, so he's being cared for by a few droids, and he's also got a little pet as well. And there's kind of a hint that he's a Jedi Prince from his droids, and then then Kadan just straight up says he's a Jedi Prince because the orb is silver, and silver is the color of Jedi Princes. So,
yeah, obviously.
Yep.
What exactly would make you a Jedi Prince, though? The droids imply they're treating him like a Jedi Prince, but like, come on.
Yeah, I don't think we know yet. It might have to do with his heritage, his Palpatinian heritage, as we learn later, but I don't know.
Yeah, because like his mom was, I guess, a Jedi, Kendalina, which is a fucking stupid name for.
Yeah, I mean it's stupid, but it's not Ken, and it's not like Ken Starfinger. It's just Ken.
Yeah, we don't know his last name. He never gets one.
Yeah,
just Ken.
Just Ken. Yeah, so Ken's up to some business. We also get lots of more fun to start off the book. We have Han at the very beginning, who's rented a warehouse on Bespin, and is apparently building what he calls a sky house. Yeah. So
a Bespin fuck pad is what it.
Yeah. So it's basically like this sick floating house that can, because Bespin, city of cloud, or Bespin's the city, but I mean, or the planet. He says with this house, he can just fly wherever he wants, and he kind of already had the Millennium Falcon, but
I was thinking that seemed a little redundant.
Yeah,
but it seems like it's got all the things that the Falcon doesn't have. Like they focus on the kitchen, which the Falcon doesn't have, and all these bedrooms, which the Falcon doesn't have.
Yeah.
So
room for the kids.
There's a deep exploration of various characters' psyches in this story, and that's Han's. Like, where we see him going through a period where he wants what he doesn't have.
Yeah, we get it down to the nerves, and it's a tough look at a beloved character. It will really challenge your preconceived notions of everyone's favorite scoundrel.
Yeah, like we learned that he presumably caused the death of the better Corellian pilot, because he admits this other pilot was better than him, and he just happens to die at the Battle of Endor. You know who that pilot was, everyone? Snoke.
It was Snoke. And the second I read that, so the pilot's name is Snoke Lauren or Loroan. And the second I saw this, I was like, people were crazy about this. So I Googled Snoke. What's his last name again? Snoke.
Laron is how I was. Yeah.
Yeah. Not like face. And of course, if you go to Reddit, there's a post, The Origins of Supreme Leader Snoke, with that page and a big arrow pointed at its name. I was like, okay, maybe this is a joke, but you read the comments and I'm going to do a video on this because it's just so fucking funny. Reckon they got this name from it? Reckon they got the name from this? Chances of them coming up with a name like Snoke in two different Star Wars sources by chance would have to be slim. And then apparently someone in the comments says Pablo Hidalgo mentioned the Jedi Prince books as a clue to Snoke's story, which I don't fucking think he did do that.
He probably did as a joke because he knew the name was in there.
Yeah, and then cool find. Perhaps Snoke Lauren was thought to be wiped out but lived through the Battle of Endor and ended up on the Endor moon and grabbed Vader's melted helmet, maybe even corrupted by the armor. And then the OP says, very possible. Such a random find.
Spoiler alert, it wasn't very possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
and then somebody in all caps wrote wrong, and it was downvoted -23.
This goes even deeper, though, because Ken, all we're missing is an Islor.
A what?
If you add Islor to Ken, you get Kylo Ren.
Oh my fucking god. That's true.
Yeah. We had Kylo Ren say the name Snoke in 1994? When did this come out?
1992, I believe.
All right, well there we go.
Very early. Well, I mean, we also had Kylo Ren, which that's a lot more. Snoke is just like a random Star Wars name, but Kylo Ren from the Droids cartoon, that one is actually kind of fucking insane. That's the one where I'm like, yeah, they might have somebody might have put that up as a bit of a laugh, and then yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the name Snoke came from this. It's just clearly not the same character in any way.
I would be surprised. I think that isn't the rumor that Snoke came from what was it again? It was like an acronym for not what is it? Does anyone in chat know? But I'm trying to see if I can find it. But basically, it was like somebody I can't remember, but basically not a Sith. It was kind of funny, but I don't know if that's true. But
maybe we'll never know.
Yeah,
but
maybe we'll never know.
We get Luke coming to Han's apartment and basically saying, "When you marrying my sister?" And Han says, "Hey, she's at the top of the list if I do settle down, kid."
Top of the list. But, I'll consider it. I'll consider it.
For whatever reason, Leia is on Yavin. This is this is 1 year after Endor. No one should really be on Yavin right now, but that apparently is where everything's run out of.
Yeah, and if anything, Endor, sometimes they had it where the Rebels went back to Endor for a bit. Yeah. I think that's what the Marvel comics did. But yeah, Yavin is a weird one.
So Luke and Han head back to Yavin, partially because Luke has been injured in the prior book's events, so he has some scrapes and bruises, but most importantly, his hand's all fucked up, his mechanical hand.
Well, that happens in this book.
Well, no, they head back because he's all damaged. But anyway,
but that happens in this book, though, because he gets beat up, and then he gets his hand blown up by the explosion. Yeah.
But anyways, Cloud City looks at it, and they're like, We don't have the parts to fix your hand in this high-tech establishment. You know where they would have it is the central clinic in the jungle. Which is apparently a thing.
Yeah. 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 It's just weird. And they also talk about Yavin having cities on it or
Yeah, because there's a fucking the Hodin that's just walking around in the fucking jungle, so that he can tell Trioculus about the herbs he needs to fix his eyes later on.
Yeah. Oh, I remembered what Snoke was, by the way. Sith no one knew existed. Yeah. But yeah, regarding that, why? It's like it's kind of, they do the thing because it's a book for kids where it's like we can have 3 planets and they got to be planets that were in the movie so the kids can imagine them.
It just the Hodin seems so unnecessary. I don't know. So I get that we're 2 30-year-olds sitting here talking about a kid's book being weird, and that's not lost on me, trust me. But I remember being a kid, and I feel like a lot of kids' books, my only frame of reference for the age group this is intended for is that kids' books will often make the child protagonist character the same age as the people you envision reading the book, right? Yeah. Am I off on that?
No, I think you're right.
Ken is 12, and Chip is 12. Mm-hmm. So they want 12-year-olds to read this. I would be... I feel like I would have read this and felt I was being insulted.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that, like, the Jedi... the Young Jedi Knights series, that's for 12-year-olds, I think, or 13-year-olds.
That's fine.
This is more like, I would say... I would read this to my son, who's 4, and he would probably enjoy it. But yeah, this is more like 8 to 10-year-old, I would say.
That feels like high end for me.
Yeah. Fair enough. Depends whether they're reading it on their own or whether you're kind of joining them, I guess. But yeah, it's like you got to throw in Comp Noir, and like this book has the most misuse of ships that exist, where Trioculus is in a strike cruiser, I think they say, but it's like more like a shuttle, and he lands with escort carriers, I think.
There's a big Ton Falx landing with him.
Yeah, like clearly they just like kind of pulled at the source book, and I imagine that's why Comp Noir also gets a bit of a shout out, which that's totally fine.
I think it's also just like using military sounding terms that whatever they could for ships, and then it happens to be something as well. But
yeah, that's possible too.
So I don't know, the Hodin really just stood out as like, why are you here? And then it became clear he was just there for his because they needed something to apply for the herbs so that he could tell Trioculus about it. So that all paid off. That sated my curiosity. But at the start, we learned that the Empire has been reduced to raiding convoys so they can have food to feed their stormtroopers.
Yeah, they're in rough shape.
Very specific too.
Yeah, and it's like the is it a Grand Admiral or a Grand Moff that he's trying to court early on?
It's Grand Admiral Grunger.
Grunger, okay.
The one who explodes over Corellia by ramming a torpedo sphere.
Oh, okay. Is that in the Dark Empire, pre-Dark Empire?
Yeah, they die pretty... Well, I don't think it's... No, it's actually really soon after Endor. Like 6 ABY for the Battle of Trallis. Don't quote me on that.
What story is that from?
It's not really in a story. I think it was only ever really in Who's Who.
Sorry, I mean, what source book was it from?
I think it's from the Insider article on the Grand Admirals. Okay. I think that's where it was.
Gotcha.
Like, it gets mentioned in Essential Guide to Warfare later, but I don't think it's in any other, like, I don't think it's ever in an actual source book.
Gotcha. Yeah, so he's like, all he's got is like starfighters. It's like the Grand Admiral. It's like he'll lend me his starfighters.
Yeah, like they did establish in the prior book that he had like a big fleet of Star Destroyers. So it's been downgraded. Maybe he's lost a bunch of them since then. This is a background, another deep bit of world building where in the background he's lost everything. Yeah.
One other thing I really liked in this book is when Luke gets the vision of Obi-Wan Kenobi and he gets the secret password to the Jedi computer or whatever. The password is JE99DI88FOR00CE. So it's Jedi Force, not well then with with random numbers interspersed. Which the Jedi are real for that. Like,
well, he's like, it'll make sense when you get there.
Yeah, Luke was always bad at Scrabble, so or like he just couldn't figure that shit out.
Reading.
Yeah, reading. Yeah, that was really funny. I actually laughed out loud at that when I was reading that part. Sorry, I coughed there.
The password is password.
Yeah, exactly. We never got around to changing it. It's embarrassing. But yeah, that was some really good stuff. And it turns out that the Jedi built a weather control. One thing you got to know: nothing in this book lines up with anything else that exists. Because we know they say Yavin used to be a desolate planet, I believe, and then the Jedi grew the jungles with the Force and their technology. We know
that's kind of retconned into sort of working, not in the way, not like fully, but I think it's a respectable attempt was made where it turns into like, oh well, after Exar Kun, the planet was so devastated that the Jedi built this city there to rebuild it, which I'm willing to accept that. Even though this says it's like it was completely barren before forever and you needed to release the heat, like that doesn't make sense anymore. But like it's a respectable enough retcon to work it in. So they get points for that one from me.
I just love how everyone in Star Wars is going to Dome Town. It just seems like there's a lot of blowjobs in the Star Wars universe. Also, the way they name their streets, it's like he lived on South Jedi Lane, which is just great.
Well, what else are you going to call stuff in the Lost City of the Jedi?
That's true.
They've only got 4 streets that meet right in the middle.
The crazy thing is, it's always been called that as well. Even when they found it, they're like, Lost City of the Jedi, it'll make sense later. Don't worry about it. Well, otherwise, I'm looking. Oh, this. I got some other notes here. I like how the Lost City of the Jedi is like apparently this thing that everyone's been talking about. Like at one part, Han says, I think he's gone off the deep end, Han said with concern. Luke never used to believe in the Lost City of the Jedi. He told me that because Obi-Wan and Yoda never mentioned it, then it must only be a legend. It's like, holy shit. Like, you guys have been talking about this during your slumber parties?
Apparently. Like, what else are you going to talk about?
Yeah. Still banging your sister, yeah.
Well, it being on Yavin, naturally, like, the Jedi, they're not great at record keeping. That's why they have to have such an obvious password, because if they tried to write it down and put it anywhere else, then they'd lose it. They wouldn't be able to get back in.
Yeah, they'd be fucked. I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else I really want to say about this book. It's very short.
Well, what would you do if you're being talked to by the false prophet of the dark side, and he's telling you if you want to lead this empire, you've got to go find the fucking jade green wall on the forest planet? It seems like not very much to go off of, and it seems like the temples would have a lot of them.
I'd probably scan it from space or something. Probably not burn down the entire forest, but
what does it say about the security of the apparently top intelligence thing of the New Republic that a probe droid just walked into one of the meetings and nearly slaughtered them?
Kind of just vibing and nearly kills everyone. Oh, another thing, we get the beginning of Trioculus's interest in Leia, which is going to be interesting later on because there's going to be a robot Leia showing up, which should be very important.
Yeah, he wants to kill all of the rebels in the Senate, which apparently there is a Senate, even though the main rebel base now does still seem to be on Yavin. So why?
And they kind of hint that the Senate's on Yavin too, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're all going to die, except for Leia.
Yeah.
Who he wants to marry, so she can be the queen of the Empire.
Yeah.
Which we'll be getting to in a while.
It's a good title.
There you go. Yeah. All right. How are you ranking this in our pantheon of kids' books?
It's certainly one of them.
I think I like this less than the first one, even.
I mean, I feel like
Jedi
I
Prince?
might remember this one. Yeah, it's a book. I don't really know what to say about it. I was thinking about how much I wish I were reading about the stories of Jaina and Jason and Tenelka and Lobaka and the rest of the crew while reading this.
Yeah, so we wanted to pick something quick. Your voice wasn't going to hold out.
We should talk about the Jedi Survivor trailer though, because that did happen.
Yeah, we'll have some other news elements after this that we'll get to, because I do need to argue with you about something. But I think when we do the rest of Jedi Prince, we'll probably do either 2 books at once or just do the whole thing for an episode for the rest of the 4 of them. Maybe a little much. I don't know.
Yeah, I think doubling them up makes more sense. Isn't there 7 in total though?
Are there 7? Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, so maybe we do like 2, 2, and 1 or something. Yeah. Oh no, there's only 6. There's only 6.
What was I thinking?
Well, yeah.
But yeah,
I just bullied you like I usually do into believing what I. One thing I like is that we're just reading them. These books were collected into a 2 volumes or 2 collections rather, and they were just called Star Wars Book 1 and Star Wars Book 2. So you've got to imagine that at some point, some kid really wanted to get into Star Wars because like you've been hearing all his friends talking about it. So he picks up Star Wars Book 1. He's like, what the fuck? Why are there all like whales and shit on the cover? What's going on? And yeah, instead of getting, A New Hope, he gets The Glove of Darth Vader, The Lost City of the Jedi, and Zorba the Hutt's Revenge.
Well, a couple years ago when I was doing my hunting for used Star Wars books, I found copies of those anthologies or those compilations, I think. So I really regret not buying them now, but at the time I didn't think I needed them. But now I know better. I won't make such a mistake in the future. Yeah, so I guess that's it for the Jedi Prince talk tonight. We got a Jedi Survivor trailer. What do you think of that? Not trailer. I guess it was a trailer game.
It was a trailer, I think. Yeah. I don't know. In some ways, I got to admit, I was a little disappointed. Not really in anything in the game itself, but I kind of wanted a different trailer. Like, I feel like it was very vague on like what. Like, you got to get hints at what the story is going at. I would have wanted it to either be more grounded in that sense or be more focused on gameplay changes. Like, you can tell a few things they're changing. Obviously, there's going to be like a Jedi Knight style, like power system where you can use like your heavy slashes. I'm guessing with the big, you can see the big, what's it called?
Claymore style lightsaber.
Yeah, the Claymore style, exactly. Probably a High Republic era lightsaber. Then you can see at some points he's using just one lightsaber, and at some points he's breaking it apart with 2 lightsabers and swinging them very fast. So I'm guessing they're probably going to go with a kind of a Jedi Knight style, where in that game it's like you get the red style, the yellow style, and the blue style, I believe. Yeah. Which that's good. But like, yeah, so I think it's going to be great. And part of the benefit of having such a good last game is they don't really need to, I don't think they need to prove themselves right now. And I think it's going to sell really well regardless. But like the story, especially, I kind of just wish there had been a bit more. Like, I'm wondering where all the crew is. Obviously, we'll find that out. Seer is kind of seems to have established her own kind of Jedi library. But it seems to me that the story will be Cal rescuing this Jedi from what looks to be some sort of suspended animation or a bacta tank or something. And I'm guessing that he was put in there for some reason, because he talks about being betrayed by those he trusted. So I'm guessing that he kind of went wacky, and because the Jedi don't kill people, they just locked him up. And Cal has now unlocked him. And yeah, so that's kind of my theory of what's going on.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a healing situation gone wrong or a prisoner situation. I
definitely could be a healing situation gone wrong.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy the prisoner angle.
Yeah, he could just feel betrayed because he's been locked in the Bacta for so long. That's kind of another thing I was wondering too, where his skin and his hair is like completely almost bleached.
Yeah.
And initially I thought, okay, maybe he's just like, there's plenty of species in Star Wars, like Ichani, for example, that look like that. But I'm kind of wondering now whether maybe he looks that way because he's been in Bacta for like 100 years.
Possible. Because it does seem like he is from the High Republic era himself. Like,
yep.
I don't know. I like that it hasn't been giving too many details on the story. I think we got enough there. Like, we got enough that we can kind of talk about it and speculate, but not so much that I feel like I know. Like, even the seer stuff, I thought might have been a little too far.
Yeah, I can get behind that, but like I feel like if you're going to be like, I feel like in that case you need to show more gameplay. Like I was really hoping for.
No, I definitely agree there.
Because like I am a little concerned. Like I really enjoyed Jedi Fallen Order, one of my favorite Star Wars games, but after playing like Elden Ring and going back and playing the Dark Souls games, you do really see kind of the limitations of that game.
Yeah,
I think that my biggest problem with Jedi Fallen Order is that when you are fighting a boss, there is only one way to play. Especially, I played through on the hardest mode, and I actually I found it easier than playing on normal, which is kind of counterintuitive because it was very clear. You know, when you're playing on normal, you think you can do whatever you want and win, and sometimes you can just kind of through sheer luck. When you're playing on Jedi Grandmaster, whatever it's called, you know, okay, when he does this move, I've got to dodge. When he does this move, I've got to block. When he does this, I've got to parry. So, especially like in the last few boss battles. So, what I was hoping for in this game was more freedom to play the boss how you want. Like in Elden Ring, for example, you can have, there are like, you know, so many different build types, and you can beat each one of the bosses in completely different ways.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not really expecting that from Jedi Survivor, but at the end of Jedi Fallen Order, it almost becomes a bit like a really advanced QuickTime event where it's like each thing the enemy does has one proper response. So,
yeah, I think that really is a result of the fact that you don't have too many character options compared to Elden Ring and Dark Souls. But yeah, that's definitely a limitation. So maybe with the different combat styles that they seem to be adding in, that'll be adjusted a little bit. But
yeah, that's definitely my hope.
Yeah, like I was expecting just pure like a 5-minute gameplay presentation from it and no story stuff to be shown at all. And I was honestly, up until like the day before where they said it's going to be a smaller show, I was honestly expecting that we'd get
I didn't even see that.
At least one other Star Wars game mentioned or shown.
Oh yeah,
But once I saw that, I was like, okay, it's going to be Jedi Survivor, and that's going to be it. But,
yeah, the Game Awards, like Jeff Keighley does this every year, where he kind of hypes them up and is like, "This is going to be the best one ever." And like, I didn't feel like he delivered this year. Like the Armored Core thing, I believe it's called, looks really cool, but I have no attachment to that series. So like, the cinematic was amazing.
Yeah,
that's the new FromSoft game. It's called Armored Core, right? That and like Death Stranding 2, but like I don't know, I was expecting like maybe a look at Fallout, or did we get a look, was there a look at Starfield?
I wasn't able to watch too much after Jedi Survivor. Like I was gonna watch more, but I only had enough time to get in Jedi Survivor and all 75 minutes of Christopher Judge's speech.
Fuck, that was brutal. Like no hate on the guy at all, but that was one of the most poorly produced. You gotta yank him off with the big hook at that point. Like that was crazy.
It was kind of painful.
He must have went on for at least like 7 minutes, right? Like
I think 5 to 7
minutes. Really?
I think it was closing in on 10.
Oh my goodness! I'm gonna see if I can find his whole speech,
because we had a fucking me, you, and Charlie were talking about it the whole time, and like I left for a little bit, came back 2 minutes later. I was at my sister's place, so I was talking to her, and my nephews were around still, I think, because I don't think they'd gone to bed yet. So it was enough that I like got other stuff done in the middle of it, and it was still going on.
Yeah, it was 11 minutes and 55 seconds. And it wasn't. He's not exactly like a super compelling orator either, orator, however you say it. Kind of ironic slip up there by me, but yeah, just oh man. But yeah, I got to admit, I was definitely felt a bit let down by the Game Awards. Yeah, I was expecting the pure gameplay too, because I believe that's what they did at E3.
Yeah.
In 2019, I guess it was, and that's also like a similar, because the game came out in November, E3's in the summer, so it's kind of a similar distance to release as the game is now. And it was like I think probably like an 11-minute gameplay section. You know how obviously they do it highly scripted stuff, but still. So that was definitely what I was expecting as well.
Because that had like a part of the AT-AT section, right?
I don't remember if that. I feel like that may have been a second one. I thought this one started with you talking to Saw on Kashyyyk, but it might have. I'm not sure.
Like, yeah, I think you're right in them not having to prove themselves with the gameplay anymore. So that might be why like they're focusing. Why they just did a little bit of story stuff and showed, hey, look, there's still a lightsaber in this game. I really don't feel like I got any gameplay at all out of the gameplay demonstration.
Yeah, the stuff that I saw, like some of it I was cool with, like the lightsaber styles. I always enjoyed that from the Jedi Knight game. Although most likely I'll pick medium and stay with it. Yeah. Although I'm sure they'll have kind of bosses that force you into playing a certain way. But like there were certain things too that I wasn't super hyped about, like more kind of open world aspects of the game. Like he shows him taming the beast, and he's also got like a grappling hook now, which he can use to help, travel. Like I didn't love the Metroidvania style get new items in return part of the first game. I think they're going to make it a bit more interesting this time, because it looks like we get a look at a sort of city planet. Probably not Coruscant, but
we know that Coruscant is in the game, so I think that.
Oh, do we?
Coruscant.
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know that. Did they fully said that? Did they? I didn't.
That's been it's been confirmed. It's in the white papers.
Oh, cool.
Because the senator guy is on Coruscant, right? So,
right. Yeah, that makes sense then. That kind of brings me to the other big question. What do you think is up with that dude with the blaster?
I don't know.
Like, is that going to be co-op? Is that because everyone was assuming
there's no fucking way.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. Although, I don't know, because Elden Ring has kind of jump-in co-op for bosses. I think they're even expanding it. Like,
but I don't like with Elden Ring. That partially comes from like you're playing different people with their own thing.
Yeah,
like, it'd be hard to have here's Cal, and then you jump in as this other guy.
Yeah, that's true.
You both think you're Cal, and like if you were gonna do co-op, then like Marin is right there.
Yeah, and I'm kind of wondering, because I assumed Cal had a blaster because he's got one in the trailer, and one of the pre-order bonuses was I think Han's blaster.
Yeah, each of the sets has a blaster in it, so it's not just a Han related cosmetic. There was like
the
Cinder rifle or pistol, whatever.
Yeah, so now I'm wondering, is Cal still gonna have a blaster or no? Because I don't know. I do think they put those cinematic trailers together very carefully. So I would be kind of surprised if they put a blaster on his hip and he didn't use it. But seeing the guy very clearly use a blaster, kind of questioning that now.
I think it'll be there. I don't know why they wouldn't have shown it now if it is, but I don't see, like, if it was just a cosmetic thing, then you'd expect that to be done as just part of the skin for like the overall character.
Right.
But I don't know.
One thing that I found super funny is like just how stupid that part was, because like Cal, he's fighting a single stormtrooper, and Cal literally fucking guts him with his lightsaber, and then his buddy comes up over the top ropes doing a front flip and like hits him with his blaster. Like the dude's been gutted by a lightsaber. Like he's probably already dead. Like, do you know how many calories you probably just burnt? How much energy you expended to do that? Like, I don't know. I just thought that was funny.
So when do you think we'd be waiting until after Jedi Survivor to get more for some of the other games? Like, do you think we're waiting for that, or do you think we'll get anything in between now and then?
I don't even know what the next game is, so
I think like Respawn. We know there's 2 other Respawn related games, the Bit Reactor one and their own first person shooter.
Yeah.
I think it's first person shooter. I feel like the first person shooter Respawn's not going to say anything about until after Survivors out the door, but it's 2 different teams that are working on it, so it is in production already. Bit Reactor, I think, is probably close to being able to see something. But, like, where things stand right now, Respawn is the only like the EA games are the only ones that I have any faith in showing us anything anytime soon.
Yeah, like I don't know. I can't. I find it hard to know how far they are into game development because, I don't know. We haven't really heard about it, and they're not saying a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. They could be very far away. They could be like that's kind of my problem with Star Wars. I don't know where projects are.
Yeah, like the last real news we've gotten about any of the other games that aren't Jedi Survivor are that Eclipse seems to still exist, and that I forget what the company's called that bought Quantic Dream.
Yeah,
like
right,
they
I forgot
seem to want to use it to expand their portfolio. So that says
wasn't it that company that makes PUBG Mobile and stuff?
It's one of the many. Yeah, I just know it's not Tencent. It's one of the other companies.
Okay,
that's
it's not Tencent. NetEase.
NetEase. There we go. But yeah, so like we found out Eclipse sort of still exists at least, and before that, the only other news was that the KOTOR remake is with Saber. Like that's how long it's been since anything has been said about anything. So,
did you see my tweet I put out about the KOTOR 2 remaster?
Yeah, how they
so that's
promised a restored content
shady
mod, and then
so for those who don't know, KOTOR 2 came out 2 years after KOTOR 1. It had a lot of bugs. Some sections could break. There's a lot of dialogue missing, and there were complete sections missing. The community for a long time has been one mod group in particular, I don't actually know the name, has been restoring it. So they made the restored content mod originally for Steam, and Aspire, who's doing, aren't they? They're also connected to the remake, right?
Well, they were the ones doing the remake before.
Are they not now?
Well, so they were making it. Saber was brought on under the same, like they're owned by the same company, so Saber was coming in to help Aspire make the KOTOR remake. And then when they did the vertical slice, I think it was, where they were looking at progress on the game so far, the company that owns them, I think it wasn't happy with it. So Aspire was shelving it, and it went to Saber entirely. So Aspire is off of it as far as we know.
Right. Okay, so so Aspire fully embraced, who's doing they also re-released the KOTOR 1 remake.
I think the company that owns them is actually called Embracer Group. So that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Either way, it was when they do KOTOR stuff, they're under the name Aspire.
Yep.
They did the KOTOR re-release for iOS and Android, and I believe other systems. And it's actually great. I played through it completely on Android or iOS, I guess. And they moved on to KOTOR 2. They're doing a Switch inclusion for this one, and one of the big selling points, like arguably a huge selling point, because it's the last thing they show in the trailer as a big surprise, is the remastered content is going to be officially included as DLC, which is pretty cool to see, a developer kind of embrace this fan work, especially where, they're not selling it. It's coming out for free, or at least was supposed to. It didn't launch with the game. They said it was going to come out Q3 of 2022. That's obviously long gone. We're almost done Q4 now. So I find it extremely shady that they used this feature as a key selling point. If you read the comments, I'd say, at least for the top comments, that dominates discussion. And if you're saying, "Oh, I've never played KOTOR 2 before," and you're like, "Oh, I could just buy it on Steam for cheap, or I could buy it for a lot more on the Nintendo eShop," and you're watching the trailer, everyone's talking about how cool this restored content mod or DLC is, you're like, "Okay, I'll just buy it there." And not only has it not showed up, but there's been absolutely no word about it. So extremely sketchy.
Did the announcement say that it was going to be the restored content mod, or just that there would be the restored content?
It said restored content DLC.
Okay. I don't know if it was like, I don't think it's actually going to be the mod itself.
So here, somebody very helpfully sent me all the kind of, because I wasn't actually aware of this. So somebody sent me the entire situation. So Aspire even had an FAQ page that said, "What is the Sith Lords Restored Content DLC?" The Sith Lords Restored Content DLC is a free post-launch DLC for KOTOR to the Sith Lords. The DLC is restored original content cut from the original release and includes additional missions, dialogue option encounters, and more. So I guess it doesn't actually say that it's... I guess it doesn't actually say that it's the mod specifically, which is in a way worse because it also says here, will the DLC be available on other platforms? Answer, the Sith Lords Restored Content DLC will only be available for our recently released Nintendo Switch version, which to me makes the whole thing even worse because it's like, hey, you got to buy this one if you want this restored content, not knowing that, the mod exists on other platforms.
Well, I really don't think it's the mod. Like, I think it's just the same name. Because, like, the stuff that the restored content mod put back in, a lot of it was in the game, and you need to turn it back on and then make some modifications to it to have it not suck. But a lot of the modifications that the mod did to that stuff really sucked. So I kind of hope it's not that either. Like,
I'm pretty sure it is, because I was reading the Wikipedia page for it, and they said that the Aspire team hired the modders and worked with them to put it together in this DLC package, it says, essentially.
Okay.
So maybe it won't be all of the things, but like here's what it talks about including. And I know a lot of this exists in the mod. The new HK manufacturing plant mission that definitely exists in the mod.
Well, I mean, it exists in the mod, but in that it existed in the game.
It exists in the original game, yeah.
Like, I hope it's not just a port of the mod, because, like, I don't know if you've ever played that mod.
Not all the way through, no.
But yeah, like when you're playing the mod, my biggest reaction to a lot of the stuff that was restored was, I see why this was cut.
Yeah, so reading the Wikipedia page, it sounds like the team, the Sith Lords TSLRCM, the Sith Lords Restored Content mod team, was involved in making the DLC specifically. Okay. And it says that their involvement as a result of Aspire's initiative gave everyone involved a unique opportunity to resolve remaining issues they could not perform as modders, since Aspire had the advantage of working with game source code. So I imagine, because it is, DLC, not, download at your own risk, it's a mod, they probably will clean it up a bit and be selective in what they include. But I know that the Android and iOS versions also had the restored content mod, which is you're not usually able to mod iOS games, so that would have had to be something that the developer kind of enabled. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. When was the announcement for that, for the DLC?
So the DLC was announced alongside the first trailer for the re-release. So let me just check the date on this YouTube video. It was May 27th of this year.
I feel like that was like, there was probably a period where Aspire was thinking like, oh, we're doing the KOTOR remake, we're going to have all this funding and we're going to be good to do all this extra stuff. And I think like that date lines up with around the time that they were kicked off of the remake and had most of the design leads on that were fired. I don't know what impact that had on the rest of the company and how long it's going to take to, like, whether that had an impact on their porting stuff or what it'll take to get that back on track. So it doesn't surprise me that it'd be late, or later than promised. But I don't know. It sounds like there's a fire going on inside Aspire for the last few months.
Yeah. One of the things like that I've been kind of hearing from people is that this is something that like not just Aspire, but other people re-releasing Star Wars games have been doing, because like Jedi So, like, on one hand, Jedi Outcast had its multiplayer completely removed from the Switch version, despite the fact that, you can go back to the GameCube and it's got the multiplayer. But, like, they've also apparently not been fulfilling other promises where I guess, and I'm just saying what I've been told, that the Star Wars Racer was supposed to get a local multiplayer, or local or online multiplayer, and the feature just has never came.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, these things are re-released, and they get a bit of buzz because it's like, oh, it's cool, you can play this old game, and then they're completely, like, they disappear.
Yeah.
And they're often really shoddy jobs. I was talking about this with you, but I purchased the Mario. There's like a big collection of Mario, the 3D Mario games. So it's I believe it's Mario 64 all the way up to Sunshine 1 or not Sunshine, Galaxy 1 or 2. And that was like a $60 purchase. And then you open it, and it's literally just an emulator running the ROMs, the original ROMs, where, like, you can even make save states and stuff. And it's just like it's not widescreen. It's just like, it just sucks to see. There's so much potential to do cool things with these games, and it just doesn't happen, I guess is what I'd say.
Yeah, like, there's so much possibility for games to still be fun, and like the KOTOR ones basically don't work still. Maybe that's been fixed, but, like, I think that it's either KOTOR 1 or KOTOR 2 was like you couldn't finish it, and I don't know if you still can or not. But
yeah, I've heard of those issues. Another thing that's frustrating too about this situation is, if you want to play the restored content DLC, you've got to you can't do it on a new save. It's got to be a completely fresh save. So it's like people have been waiting to start the game for this DLC to come out. It's just like, no, joke's on you. Fucking never coming out.
Well, speaking of things that are never coming out, let's talk a little bit about movies, I guess.
Okay.
We've got the big thing is the statement by Patty Jenkins that came out this week, where she's the director of the Rogue Squadron movie, but also of Wonder Woman 1 and 2, and then Wonder Woman 3 was canceled. So she made a statement talking about how she had originally left Rogue Squadron because she didn't want to push back Wonder Woman 3 anymore, but she had a deal with Lucasfilm rather, that she would come back after Wonder Woman finished to work on Rogue Squadron again. Mm-hmm. So now and she said in the same message that, as far as she knows, development has continued on the movie while she was gone, and the agreement still stands. So it seems to be confirmation that Rogue Squadron does still exist. But you had something you said on Twitter about the choice to prioritize Wonder Woman over Rogue Squadron.
Okay, and I gotta say, before I'll let you continue, but that was essentially a joke because I think DC movies are shit. But go ahead.
Yeah. So you were saying, well, you said who would choose to prioritize DC over Star Wars, which I agree.
With the skull face, meaning it's a joke, but
I don't think that's what that means.
Okay, but and your point was, well, you say your point, because I agree with your point completely.
My thing was that, like, no Star Wars movie seemed to actually be going anywhere, and she had waited long enough where it was like, okay, I've been pushing off this thing that's keeping other people employed for long enough. You got to fulfill those obligations before you can come back. And I don't know, like, Star Wars movies they're just not going anywhere.
I thought your point was about, I thought you were going to say, because she talks mostly about how close she is with, like, all the cast, and, like, how they're all her best friends. I thought your point was going to be about how, like, it's fine for her to prefer that over.
Well, I didn't read it as her preferring it or prioritizing it. I think, like, it seemed like she was prioritizing working on Star Wars first, but when it was taking so long, it was like, okay, I already have this agreement, this contract probably, that I need to do Wonder Woman 3. They're still waiting on me, and they're ready to go, so I'm going to go over to that. Because she's not writing Rogue Squadron. She's just directing it. So there's only so much that she can do until it's, like, in her hands. And they were saying, I think in 2021 it was nearly done. Like the script was done, but there's still other development stuff that they had to do beforehand. So like it makes sense to me that her choice in the moment would be, all right, well, I've waited so long to do Wonder Woman 3. I need to go do that now. And Lucasfilm gave her the deal to come back and still do Rogue Squadron. So I don't think it's prioritizing necessarily DC over Star Wars in general. Just when you've waited so long you got another job to do.
Yeah, I do totally see that point, but it was also the situation where something's got to give, either Star Wars or DC. And at the end of the day, whether Star Wars was taking long or not, the thing that gave for her was Star Wars. She was completely willing to walk away from it.
But if you're a director right now and you have a tentative deal to do a Star Wars movie, how much water does that hold for you?
Yeah, totally agree. And that's why I'm not criticizing Patty Jenkins on this. Like, I like Patty Jenkins. I don't like Wonder Woman. I think she's the most boring fucking character of all time. Like, everyone was talking about this one sequence, like, where she's walking across. I don't know if it's some, like, the no man's land. I guess World War I, probably. Like, this is the best thing ever. This scene is mine. This is cinema. This is true cinema. I watch it, and I'm like, this is so fucking dumb. Like, I just... Whatever. But anyway, if you like it, you like it. I don't mind. But
I've never seen a single DC movie since the Batman movie that had Poison Ivy in it from like the 90s.
Oh, I haven't even seen Rubber Lips are immune to your charms?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I get it. Like, I think Wonder Woman is probably the most boring fucking character of all time. She's like an unkillable goddess. Same with how they use Superman. We're like, but anyway, so yeah, I get it. I'm just frustrated that, like, okay, if you're gonna have all these pans on the fire or whatever the expression is, like, don't tell us about them until they're actually going to materialize, which is something we've complained about, or I've complained about before. But it also is a little frustrating too with Rian Johnson and Kevin Feige and who else? Oh, Taika Waititi, where it's like they got a Star Wars thing, but it seems like, the boys are working on it when they get 5 spare minutes between something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's the most applicable to the ones that are also writing it. For like Taika, especially, he's doing the writing and directing. Where, like, the issue with Patty, I think, like, everyone, I feel like, was assuming that the reason that Rogue Squadron was being held up was because of her other commitments. Where now it seems like she was ready to go, basically, and the movie just wasn't quite there yet itself. And there was another interview I read. I can't remember who it was, but another director who's been tapped for a Star Wars movie where he's been, like, they explicitly asked him, just seeing all these other directors saying they're doing a movie and then nothing seems to come of it.
Yeah, it was Sean Levy.
It was Sean Levy? Okay, yeah, that sounds right. And he's like, no, I just want to do a Star Wars, which is a great attitude to have, but also, like, are we ever going to get to see any of the Star Wars?
Yeah,
are these actually happening, or is this like when we're on a Drunk X2 stream and we're talking about how, like, eventually we're going to do a video of me getting shot in the face?
Yeah, and I don't know, that sucks. Like, and they're able to do that, I think, because Disney Plus is just, like, so successful, and all their projects seem to be, well, not all their projects, but a lot of their projects seem to be really popular and stuff. So I'm sure they'd be sweating a bit more if they didn't have 35 TV shows coming out every month. But yeah.
Well, I've started to think, like, is it a situation where, like, if you've had lunch with someone at the end, you're like, oh, we should do this more often. If, like, directors have lunch with Kathleen Kennedy, does she just end by saying, oh, we should do a Star Wars? And then the director mentions it to the news, like, oh, I'm going to do a Star Wars. But really, it was just like a nicety that you a little platitude at the end of the meal.
And then they're tweeting about it, and it's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Like, I think the announcement timing is definitely the biggest problem there. Like, I don't know what the intended time span is of any of these things versus when they might end up happening. Like Rogue Squadron is definitely the one that stands out the most because we had a solid date for it, and it's clearly missing that. But for the rest of them, the state that all of them are in make more sense as like long-term things if Rogue Squadron comes out this or next year. Like if we're in a world where that happened, the fact that it's going to be 2026 before Taika's movie might show up, or 2027 before someone else's, like that seems less weird. But the fact that the bottom fell out of Rogue Squadron when it did, I think is where most of that perception comes from. Because I don't think it was ever intended to be like a Marvel situation where you had fucking 5 Marvel movies come out in a year. Like it seems like the intent was for longer term work. It's just without Rogue Squadron coming out right now, it feels like everything is so far off when really it's just an unfortunate situation with one movie that made everything kind of go kablooey.
Yeah. Yep.
But maybe with Iger, they'll want more movies. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, and again, I think the problem wouldn't be so bad if they stopped announcing it. Like even the Kevin Feige thing, they announced it like, excuse me, like 2019. So it's like, stop doing that, maybe.
Yeah, I think part of it is just like there's only been the one actual announcement, right?
No, there's been a bunch. Like Rogue Squadron was fully announced.
Rogue Squadron was fully announced, but like, aren't the other ones just like people mentioning shit?
No, Taika's movie was officially announced with that weird Star Wars font.
Yeah,
Star Wars put out an official thing that Rian Johnson had been hired to do a trilogy. They put out an official thing about Kevin Feige. Let's see if I can find the. I'll just try to find one for an example. Rian Johnson trilogy from StarWars.com. Yeah, so November 19th, 2017. On the official StarWars.com, Rian Johnson, writer, director of the Star Wars The Last Jedi, to create all new Star Wars trilogy. So yeah, like, and they got quotes from Kathleen, and so yeah, fucking get it together. And that was before The Last. Yeah, I didn't realize they announced that before The Last Jedi even came out. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
5 years ago.
Maybe someday.
Fuck, time has flown. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's happier just doing his. I haven't seen.
Rian Johnson has mentioned like still wanting to do it repeatedly.
Yeah, but he also seems like a really nice guy.
Well, I think he brings it up himself, where he'll say,
okay,
like,
fair enough.
He can. I think the last one I saw was like Rian Johnson can live without doing a Star Wars movie again, but he'll just be sad about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm really looking forward to watching Glass Onion this week.
Oh, are you seeing it this week?
I think it comes out on the 23rd on streaming, so that's like 1 week from now. We both really liked Knives Out. So
yeah, Knives Out was great. I want to see. I'm kind of excited to see Avatar. But I wanted to go with August, but it's fucking 3 hours long. So
yeah, I think I'm out on Avatar. I tried to watch the first one. I watched like most of it at my friend's house, and I remember we were all talking about it like while it was on the screen, and I was so not interested on anything.
Oh, you saw it at your friend's house?
Yeah.
These are movies you can't see. Like, they're spectacles, like literally and figuratively. You got to wear 3D glasses, but like the thing about Avatar was it was like an as of yet still unmatched theatrical experience.
Right. And I'm perfectly great, do your tech, James Cameron, and then another movie will use it worse to do something that I'm more interested in.
But nobody's even used it close to the way Avatar used it.
I've seen Spy Kids 3D. What else do you want?
It's hard to explain if you've never seen it, but it was like somebody actually, like people, when I saw Avatar with my aunt, and I remember when that movie came out, people were getting up and walking down towards the screen because they felt like they were in the movie. So, and like it was pretty incredible. So, the story was absolute dog shit. Really even annoying at times, like detracted from it. But like I'm a big oceans guy as well. Like I love sea creatures and stuff, and this one's all about that. So for me, I'm pretty interested, but you can't see it in a
I can do an hour and a half spectacle. I might even be able to do a 2-hour spectacle, but
yeah.
I don't think I can do a 3-hour spectacle. I don't think I have it in me.
Yeah, that's why I'm actually feeling kind of okay about going with my son, because maybe he just decides when we're fucking done. Like
enough.
maybe I go for as long as he wants, and if an hour and a half he's done, I'm like, I don't give a shit about the story anyway. Let's go home.
Yeah.
You know?
But then you've paid fucking $75 to see half a movie.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to log in right now and look at how fucking expensive these tickets are.
Yeah, because you're not just gonna fucking go for the day rate of $19 for a regular movie ticket now. I do actually have. I think it's here. I have a Great Escape, 2 general admission, 2 regular soft drinks, and 1 regular popcorn coupon. So I think we gotta see something.
The closest playing of
1 regular popcorn. What the fuck? What am I gonna do with 1 regular popcorn?
Oh, I could have went to see it tonight if I had been smarter.
Oh well.
Yeah, well. I'm just kind of curious to see how much tickets cost. Let's see. Maybe I'll go see it. I'm big on going to see movies by myself.
Yeah, I've only done that with Rogue One.
I did it recently. I did it for was it Endgame or Infinity? Endgame was the last one, right? I did it for Endgame. I did it most recently for Dune. That was a good one. I was like, no, like Kelsey, she's not going to make it if I try to take her to see it. She's not going to go. She just won't.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. I got the spice in my fucking lungs. So I'm just going to go see it the night it came out, because I work nights, right? So I just went to go see it, and it was pretty sick. So now I'm big on just going to the movies by yourself. It's a good experience.
Yeah, I pretty much only watch movies with people. Like, yeah. Even here, I don't really watch movies alone. So I don't know. That for me, like, going to the movies is a social thing. So I agree. Never really is a thing that I end up wanting to do alone.
And like, if I'm going to like a Star Wars movie, like, yeah, I probably want to go with a friend, or like it's more fun. But certain movies like Dune, it's like, this shit ain't social. Like, this is cerebral. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, like, talking about it afterwards, where I feel like that's the...
Yeah, I totally agree. That's the thing I miss most. But I don't know. It's still fun.
All right. Well, as you cough us out, I think that's going to do it for tonight's podcast. Hope you all enjoyed the Jedi Prince talk, as well as the Jedi Survivor, and also the Jedi Rogue Squadron. So
and next me shitting on DC.
Next week, I don't know if we should try to do something like some kind of year-end wrap-up situation. I don't know.
I might end up being too busy next week, to be honest. Like,
okay.
Christmas is going to be crazy. And we got the X2 party that night, so.
All right. Well, we'll figure something out for maybe when our next one's going to be.
Yeah, we might do something. I'm definitely open to doing something. I just won't have time to prepare beforehand. Yeah, so, yeah.
So we'll keep you all posted. Until then, always remember, don't let the Imperials raid your pantry. They got to feed those stormtroopers somehow.
Don't be embarrassed to eat ass. Isn't that our saying?
Sure.
Okay.